All right, here we go again. Yeah, just crazy days. A lot of irrationality out there. Interesting thing, if you want to look into it right now, is if you were in the precious metal markets, look at the difference between, or the decoupling of the paper market and the physical market. Go to some of the bullion dealers and see the difference in the spot price, the margins there, and then also just availability. It's getting crazy, and some of them, they have a $2,000 order minimums, saying 7 to 10 business days. It's freaking crazy. And I've had an order in from a few weeks ago, and it still hasn't been fulfilled. It's insane. Now, on the market side of things, volatility is the name of the game, and I got in a little too early. I should have waited, and I should have held out on one of my positions that have made a lot of money. But I stuck to my rules, and I closed it out. But oh well, you win some, you lose some. I'm just tired of being right, I guess, when it comes to this financial stuff. But on the virus thing, I was worried about it a few months ago. Now I can see the irrationality of the public and in our leaders here. You go to the store, and yes, some things are sold out. It's really not that bad. I went there. The only thing that was weird is one of the Walmarts I went to. They were out of pasta. Of all things, they weren't out. I found 2 things of spaghetti, but for the most part, they were out. The bare shelves I've ever seen, even for where I'm at, where it's typically bare. Or there's a lot of turnover. The real interesting thing that's happening today is now we're all socialists, pretty much. I remember Trump saying we'll never be a socialist country. Well, that's gone down the tubes. Now we're going to start the helicopter money. They're going to give checks out, or it looks like that's what's going to happen. Helicopter money takes on various forms, where they're just printing it out and giving it to various industries, or they're just going to they're just going to cut us a check, send it all to people. Helicopter money refers to just printing money, irregardless of whether it's backed by any productive activity. It's just, we're just going to print. And how's that? That actually, for some of us, might pay a bill or whatever, but it's actually, you're not building any more resources out there. You're not starting a new factory. So we're having a supply shock, and the system is grinding to a halt. So I don't see how this is going to solve anything besides run up the checkbook of this nation. And we'll easily top 24 trillion, I bet, this year after all this is said and done. And then plus what the Federal Reserve is doing, just backstopping everything. I don't even have the numbers, but just look it up. I could start pulling this stuff up when we get a little more advanced. But for now, I'm just giving you things to look into. Hey, look into what they're doing. The numbers are just astronomical, unbelievable, unprecedented. If you don't think that, if anything, you still got time to prepare, it seems like. Because, like I said, this is just one iteration. This is the beginning of the end, or it's not the end of everything, but it's pretty much the collapse of our empire, our financial monopoly. We're gonna have a dollar crisis, and then that's it. Our standard of living, hopefully, won't. It's gonna be some tough times if you're not prepared. With this, which is not that bad. The virus, I believe it's nefarious in nature. I think that it was actually, in my opinion, it was more than likely a bioweapon, or there was an accidental release, but it's not that bad. And people around here panicking. I've heard of people stopping and stealing groceries out of people's carts in the parking lot. I've heard of people breaking into homes now. And it's like, if this is where we're at with this, imagine when a real issue comes up, or imagine when the crash actually happens and people's cash isn't worth anything and they can't hardly feed themselves. Because there'll be a large segment of the population like that. Imagine what's going to happen. So, just lessons learned. Keep some notes and figure out what the heck you're going to do for this next one. Be prepared. Not to say that, there's there'll probably be a lull in this with all this money printing, and when we start getting some industries back online, things will seem good for a little while, and then they won't, and then that's it. This is the prelude to the great crash. But this, if you look at the numbers, if you look at something, this is some of these drops are unprecedented. It stands to reason that you could see a depression out of this, but this is, in my opinion, this is the just before the grand finale of the fireworks. This is one of the iterations, just like the 2001 bubble and the 2008 bubble. These are all just leading up to that, because we keep making the same mistakes. We make the same mistakes as historical empires. We make the same mistakes as ourselves. We just don't seem to be able to learn, because it just get that instant gratification, or it just seems harsh to do the right thing. And it would be painful, but it would be good for the long run. It'd be good for all of our posterity. If you got kids, that's what I'm worried about. Is like, you worried about your kids. I mean, what happens when they're our age, and where are we going to be at? And hopefully, if you're like me, I'm just looking at some kind of, hopefully build some kind of generational wealth, and hopefully get through this. I mean, 'cause think about this. Even if the worst crash, the worst, the Roman Empire, when it crashed, it's not like everybody was being killed or whatnot. Life went on. Not to the degree that it was under the empire, but it went on. And it's important to know that, so we don't get into even more hysteria. The time to panic, let's go back to the panic thing, because I see people panicking now. The time to panic was a couple months ago, to get your stuff ready, to be prepared. Now that we're in there, I mean, I guess all you can do is panic. But now's not the time to panic. Now's the time to get your head on straight and to think logically. Anyway, pay attention to the Fed, what they're doing, even though it's not all headline news. Pay attention to what's in the background, like they cut the reserve rates for the banks 0%. Like, the first thing in my mind is like, well, there's nothing in there. Might as well just take my money out. One, it's 0% interest. I'm not getting anything out of it. Two, they can just lend it out, so I'm just giving them a free money to lend out for a profit. Like, what am I doing here? And then, so I just pay attention to that, because that's where the big moves are. This coronavirus thing, yeah, it's gonna go spike, and then it'll eventually tail off. But there's nothing you can really do about that. But you want to look out at the other things that most people aren't looking at, things that are actually affecting everything, and that's what the Federal Reserve's doing. That's what the actual economic drivers, you need to look at that when productive capacity starts coming back online. And then pay attention to the relationship between gold and silver, and gold and, or these just precious metals in general, in relation to currencies. And pay attention to the market, because there's decouplings there, and and those are stores of value. Anyway, I'll probably be on some more talking about this stuff, and going through, maybe do some more of the life lessons stuff instead of this economic, because this is getting, I mean, I've talked about it in the past, and if you've known me before I even started doing this, I mean, this is nothing new, this economic stuff, but there's some other, what can one individual really do to stop it, besides maybe enlightening other people? But we can, take control of our own lives, so maybe we'll start doing some more of that stuff, and go from here. Anyway, talk to you later.